Okay, let's talk today a little bit about forms and tables. The very first thing I'm going to do is create a form. And so I'm working in Dreamweaver today. Everything I do here in Dreamweaver is possible to do in the previous program that we were working on. There's just some things that'll be a little bit simpler. Now, I went and created a site. In fact, let me do this. I'm going to, in Dreamweaver, go to Manage Sites, and I'm going to delete this site. Delete with this little minus sign down here. And then I'm going to create a new site. So I'm going to click Done. Manage sites, site, new site. A name, again, you can name this site anything. This site name doesn't exist anywhere except in Dreamweaver and doesn't affect anything. So I'm going to call this Tech Spring 2024. And we can have spaces in this name and all kinds of things because, again, this only exists right here. Local site folder, I'm going to click here. And it's going to take me, go to my desktop. And here is my, that's not it, web class. Choose. And I'm going to click Save. And there I can click this down arrow and I can see my project 1 folder and my project 2 folder. And I'm going to go up to the options in the upper right and new folder. And I'm going to call this project 3. We're not going to have much in the project 3 folder. Let me make this consistent _3_Nettles. Okay. So I've got project 3, and I can then go to Dreamweaver, and I'm going to create new HTML. I'm going to call this Nettles tables and forms. Doc type HTML5. Create. And it creates this file, and it's already filled in the title, my Medicare set, some of the beginning coding, and I'm going to go File, Save. And it's going to ask me where I want to save it, and I'm going to go to my desktop, web class. You'll see there's now a project 3 folder, and I'm going to call this project 3A. I don't know, I'm not very good. So we'll call it tables, forms, 1.html. Click Save. Okay, and you'll see it now appears down here in my project 3 folder. Okay, we want to add some more information here. So HTML lang equals quote EN-US. Okay. Then we want to add, I'm going to actually open up Gropius 7, and you'll see you get an extra tab at the top here, and that's Gropius 7. So we've got the title. We need meta name viewport, and we need this, and we need this, and I'm going to copy all of that. We're going to need to fix, well, actually, yes, we need to fix this because in fact, okay, and that'll be actually a nice, interesting little thing. So I'm going to copy that and go over to my tables and forms. V tab, tab. So viewport content equals quote width equals device dash width, comma, initials dash scale equals 1. Meta name description is practice with tables and forms. Okay. And then we've got the link to the style sheet, but this is not actually the correct link. In fact, what we have to do is we have to come out of this folder here and go into that folder there. So I'm going to go slash, and then I'm going to go project underscore to underscore nettles slash CSS slash normalized CSS. Okay, so we've come out of the project 3 folder, which is the ... slash, and then we're going to enter project 2 nettles folder, and then we have another slash, and that tells us that we're going inside that folder, and then we're going to the CSS folder, and then we're going to normalize.css, and that should have just linked normalize CSS. And then after this link, I'm going to add style, and we'll use that to add CSS styles in a little bit. Okay, next we're going to go down to body, and I'm going to create a div, and the ID equals wrap. Like that. And then inside of that, I'm going to I'll just create a section. Or actually, no, I'm sorry, we'll call that a main. And close that main. And then inside that, I'm going to have a section. I'm assuming you're going to have to go back and section. And this section ID equals table. And this section ID equals form. And then inside this, I'm going to create, okay, we'll go main H1, forms, tables and forms. Inside section, I'm going to add an H2 tables. Inside this section, I'm going to create an H2 forms. Okay. I don't need this validation box at the moment, so I'm just going to close it so you can see all of this code and you can see what's going on here. Next. So I'm actually going to start off with forms today just to be insane. So we're going to start off forms. I'm going to go H3, contact us. And then I'm going to add a form like that, which is going to wrap around our form elements. And then inside form, I'm going to create action equals mail to colon sample at sample.com. Okay, where I've got this mail to colon, you want to then type in your email, and this is how you will be able to test. And then we're going to add onto this method equals post and enc type equals quote text / plain, like that. Okay. I'm going to add a couple of comments. Action. Let's call this actually sample at sample.com. Should be changed to your email address -- greater than. Okay, that ends that comment. Second, okay, action and equal post or get. Always use post if the form data contains sensitive or personal information. In other words, always. The post method does not display the submitted form data in the page address field. Post also has no file size limitations. Okay, long comment. Next. Another comment. All right. Exclamation, form, fields go here. So we're going to start off with an input type. Equals text. Name equals last name. It's a required field. Autofocus. And placeholder equals first name. Okay. And I'm going to hit save, and you'll see that we now have a first name field. And I can click in it, and then I can type my first name. Okay. So actually, we're going to add an asterisk after that. I'm going to use that to indicate that that is, well, or actually, let me change that. Unfortunately, I'm thinking, which is always a problem. Okay, so we're going to try it this way because I think that'll work the most effective way here. That's just going to indicate that this is a required field. So the type of this field is a text field, meaning that you can type text into it. I'm naming the field so that anything that's processing the information from this field will know, it won't actually know what's in the field, but it will be able to separate this field from, say, another input type field, which I'm going to create momentarily for first name. Oh, right. Did I really? Okay, first name. There we go. So it should be first name. So you want to kind of name your field something that make it obvious what the heck it is that the field is doing. This is a required field, meaning you have to fill it in order to post this form. Autofocus means that I think it will automatically, in an actual website, it'll automatically come and your cursor will be flashing there immediately. And then this placeholder obviously is the name inside of that field. Okay, then input type equals text, name equals last name, required. We don't need to tell it to autofocus because we already have picked an autofocus. And then placeholder equals quote last name asterisk and we hit save. And I'm going to go to view, refresh live view. And you can see, so many of the fields are considered to be inline items. So first name, so that's an inline item, that's an inline item. And so they're going to write like a string of text. And then we're going to use CSS to change how that is styled. Okay, and I need to close that. Okay. And in fact, I might want to put another comment up here. Name. And then I'm going to add a comment. Email. So one of the things about HTML5 is that prior to this, you'd have an input field and there wasn't anything specific to separate, say, input fields for names from input fields for emails. But HTML5 has added some specific types of input fields, and it's probably continuing to create more and more of those specific input fields as HTML continues to develop. So email input type equals email. And that means that this field should in fact check and see if in fact you have a valid email address, and name equals email. And I want this to be required. And then placeholder. And you need to make sure that's spelled correctly. That wasn't even close. Equals email space asterisk. Save. So now we have the email field. And then we're going to give it a list of items to pick from. So I'm going to call this reason for email. And so it's going to be a group of items. It acts more or less like a list. So instead of having a UL, we're going to call it select name equals reason. So, and again, we have to name it. It doesn't matter what we name it, but we want the name of this select to make some kind of sense. And you'll see that it then closes it. And then inside of that select, we're going to add option space value equals instruction. And then close. And then we're going to have an actual value. Kind of like a URL. And then option value equals newsletter. Greater than to receive your newsletter. Option value equals other. And then finally, equals web error. I kind of like, as a web developer, I kind of like to include that because it's always good to have somebody else looking over your shoulder and letting you know when there's something screwed up. Okay. And if you now look over here and I click, I get a drop-down menu that I can select from. And then comment. And this field is going to work a little bit differently. It's going to be text area. Area. Name equals comment. Alls equals 60. So you'll be able to put 60 characters on a line. Rows equals 4. And there'll be 4 rows. And placeholder equals comments. Okay, and then oddly enough, it closes. but there's nothing that you want to fill in that area. And you see that I now have a comments field. And I think if I make this 40, you'll see that I can use that columns to control the width of that box. Okay. And we can also use CSS to control the width of that box. And we'll add another comment. Alls equals how many rows of info are displayed. But you'll also notice that there is a little item at the bottom here, so one can always make this bigger if one wants to in the actual thing. And then finally, set and or send reset buttons. Button type equals send value equals send \button. Okay. And then input type equals reset. Type equals reset. And value equals reset. And then we have form closing. And so this is our form. Okay. So currently kind of ugly looking. There are other ways of doing this. I was trying to just reduce the amount of coding involved. And if I save this and I go to here and go to Google Chrome, it gives me my form. And I click send. And you can see that the way that this is currently set up, what it does is it opens your mail browser, your mail, and tries to send to, in this case, sample@sample.com, and it gives me my data. First name Prof, last name Nettles, email, reason, comment, and so on. Okay. And I can close that, save. And I can also click reset, and you'll see it resets it. So kind of cool, right? So next, what we're going to do is we're going to go back here, and we're going to do a little CSS styling to this. The first thing I'm going to try is see if I can get this all. You'll notice that this is all sans serif and this is all serif. I'm going to see if I can get it to cooperate, and well, let's see. So, okay, font. Um, I'm going to try to get it to go to serif since it's already sans serif. And that seems to have successfully converted everything. And I'm hoping that in fact it's this normalized.css that's making that so easy to do. Let me see if I change this to HTML. No. If I do it to HTML, that doesn't work. If I do this to body, it also doesn't work. But if I tell it to do everything, this is apparently a super inefficient way of handling this, but for the moment, I'm going to live with it. I'm going to live with it. Okay, that's the very first thing we've done is we've normalized all of these styles. Next, I'm going to go and so again, I said that all these elements are at the moment, they are inline elements. And so as you saw on a really wide page, it's just a string of items. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take input, select text area, and button. And I'm going to tell them to display block. And you'll see now they display like the H1s or the P elements where everything at the end of every line, it breaks down to the next line. Okay. And those are too tight together. So I'm going to also tell them margin bottom 6 pixels, and that spaces them out a little. I find this interesting because why is that not working? But so there might need to be something different for that. And then I'm also going to tell it padding 3 pixels. And that gives me a little more space within the box. Okay. Then I'm going to tell it, I'm going to take these 3 items, input, select, and text area. So input, 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 select, and text area. And I'm going to tell them width is going to be 375 pixels. Notice how they now all more or less have the same width. It's interesting that select doesn't quite, and that doesn't quite. So they'll probably take a little bit of additional adjusting. Ah, okay, let's do one more thing. So font family, that, semicolon, border box, box sizing, border box, pink. Now they all actually are showing up pretty much the same size with the exception of the comments, because we're no longer counting the additional the width of the border or the padding to figure out the width of these items. And so that helped normalize that. I'm going to go to, and notice actually that the reset jumped out and is now that width. And if we go to the reset, we see that it says input instead of button. And so it got included in this width. So we can be a little bit more specific about which input items we are going to affect. And we can do that with a square bracket, button, input type equals text, equals text. And you'll notice that the text items, those text items are affected. And we'll add another put square bracket, type equals email, comma, and that makes the email work. And I'm going to then tell button, comma, input square bracket, type equals reset. Width 100 pixels. And then the final thing is I want to figure out, I'm just going to do this quickly. Button, margin top, 100 pixels, pink. Okay. 20 pixels. There we go. So for some reason, the comments requires more space below it. Okay. So there I filled that in. And one can go background color, red, color, white, font, weight, 700. What happens if I tell it to border none? Okay. And input type reset. I want something just, well, okay, that'll work. One's weight, 700. Order, 0 solid black. Okay. And let's see. Background color, aqua. And now oops. Okay. And I hit save. And let's do this. So we've got section ID equals form. So I'm going to go up here. And okay, and then structure. Form, background color, ish, adding 40 pixels. Or I could actually make this 20 pixels, 40 pixels. 20 pixels, and for whatever reason, it seems to be tight at the bottom. So 20 pixels, 40 pixels, 60. Come on. 60 pixels. 20, 20 on top, 40, 40 pixels. So top, right, bottom, left. I lost the X. So that looks a little better. And that's a form. Okay. So whole bunch of typing, but that gives you the idea of what it takes to put together a form. And you can, again, also change the color on that on hover and active. I don't think it's necessary to have all of the attributes that you would have for a standard hyperlink. I think we can just use these particular ones. Hover, active. Actually, there is one I'm missing that should be here. Focus. For people using their keyboards. Background color. Make it Azure. It would be better to figure out what I really wanted to use. But I'm trying for effect at the moment. And you could play around with different colors. And save. And so that's the coding for this form. And I'll provide online some other links for places that you can go to look for more information on forms. This is just a basic contact form. The other thing is, so currently this sends the information to your mail client, Mac Mail or whatever else it is that you have set specifically. If we were posting this onto a website, onto our website, then we would talk to the website provider and find out what code we need to use, so that this is actually sent out without directly, as opposed to so using PHP, it would send directly to you, and but it's a different set of code, and currently we're not set up for that. So anyway, I hope you found this useful. And for this week, there's also going to be a module on tables, and I will get that hopefully posted tomorrow.